Excellent, excellent. Um, if you're in business, if you've been through this pandemic, we all know that it's tough. You know, we have family members, friends. The dynamic of business has changed. You know, our jobs don't come to work related to everything. So this has sparked something in people and
My
inspired them to
jaded
go out and start their
heart
own
was
business.
held by
So
you.
Jeff Works, they want to offer more than just a space.
You changed the shape
And with that,
of my
they've
youth.
been doing workshops every month going forward. It's like
Numb to the hooks that you've pierced through my skin.
so because branding is
I have
like the
loved
base
you
of your business. It's
with
like the foundation of your
all
business.
my
When you think about
heart.
business, first thing that comes to our mind, I need a cool logo. You know, I'm gonna send this to all my friends and family. Hold on, let me throw my logo.
Never left,
And that's what we do. We kind of get these ideas in our mind and
never
we get this
worn,
vision in our
never
mind.
left my
First thing that we want
chest.
to do is we want a logo.
Lost in
It's a lot more than just logo. Branding is really, really, really deep. It's a deep thing. It's psychological. It's emotional. Everyone in here makes decisions based on emotion. When you buy that new car, you're not really thinking all about the features of the car. You're thinking about how you're going to feel after you purchase that car. And that's what you need to think about. You need to think about what kind of effect I want to have on whoever my potential customer is, whoever my potential client is. What kind of effect is my business going to have on them? So when we see that Apple logo on something, or when we see the crown for Rolex, or when we see, these are prestigious brands that position themselves in a way to promote luxury. So when you have this, it's like a status symbol. It's more than just a phone. It's a status symbol. I got the iPhone. I have the Rolex. I have this. I have that. So kicking off, I want to talk about who we are. I own a digital marketing company, and we're all over the place. We're all over the world. But mostly we're based in the United States. We have about 20 people in the U.S. between New Jersey, New York, Miami, and then the rest of our team is in Nicaragua. So we're in the capital of Nicaragua, which is Managua, and I have about three business partners over there, and I have another business partner in Miami. We have a wide variety of experience. Izzy, you could go to the next slide.
Before you, I just want to jump in. So you took the thunder, because I wanted to introduce Tony. And Tony is amazing. So I really
Thank you.
But just quickly, so Tony's very passionate about helping people reach their potential. It's kind of it's your purpose, I think you should describe it.
Of course.
And doing so in a way where he has a really good kind of human touch, makes connections with people, as you can already kind of tell. And so it's been a lot of fun working with Tony and getting to know him. And he's also a marketing powerhouse. This firm is great as well. So I just want to say that.
Thank you.
We're happy
Thank
to have
you.
everybody here. I'm going to get out of the way. But thank you for coming. You haven't downloaded the app, check it out. And we're happy to tell you more about Jeff Works. But we're in luck. We're in for a treat tonight with Tony. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Let me make a full disclosure. I'm not a branding expert, but I've worked with a lot of brands. I've worked with a lot of companies. I do have my understanding of branding, and we do have a team that specializes in branding. So when they brought branding to me, to present branding, I'm like, oh man, it's so technical. It can go so deep. And if you speak to other firms, they all have their own strategies and their own ways of going about branding. So you can take this for what it is, and I'm going to share with you. I don't want to make this like a lecture. I want to make it more interactive if we can interact. And, I'm going to ask some questions to the crowd. I'm going to set the tone, the agenda for the night, and we were going to do a workshop, but I don't want to make you guys work. You're probably tired like I am a little, you worked all day. I don't want to pair you up in groups and, make you do activities or anything like that, but you will have a takeaway from this workshop for sure. So the name of our company is Top Floor Marketing, and like I said, we're based out of the U.S. and Nicaragua, which is South America, Central America. So what we specialize in, next slide please. By the way guys, this is Izzy. She'll be helping me out with the slides. Everybody say hi to Izzy. So our certifications, we're a Google partner. We're top 3% in Google. So when it comes to lead generation, this is really our sweet spot. So if you're thinking of You want more customers and you want to get them through Google. You want people to find you on Google through the ads. We specialize in ad campaigns through Google, through Amazon. But we're top 3% in Google. We also build phenomenal websites. We have a strong development team. We do apps. You know, we're a full service marketing agency, but our sweet spot is getting you more customers. So we work with a lot of landscapers. We work with a lot of construction companies. We work with a lot of companies that always want new customers. And we also help retaining other customers. You can go to the next slide, So for tonight, I'm going to break it down. This is going to be really simple as I can make it, without trying to, like I said, lecture. So we're going to define what branding is. We are going to help you identify who is your customer. We're going to talk about data analysis. And we're going to talk about bridging data with branding. I'm going to have Izzy help us out with some of the definitions. And like I said, today we have a workshop built into this presentation, but as opposed to getting you guys to break up, we're going to just, email you the workshop for you to do it at home, for you to go through, okay, I want to build my brand. Do I pick a logo? Do I draw a logo? How do I pick my colors? It's a lot deeper than that. We're going to give you the psychology behind building customer personas, for example, understanding who are you looking for, who is my ideal customer, all of these things. And so that's the last thing you'll have a takeaway. Next slide is, you go next. Izzy, won't you give us the definition of branding? Define branding for us.
So branding goes beyond a logo and just aesthetics. It encompasses the perceptions, experiences, and associations that are tied to your company or brand.
Excellent. Anyone have any questions on that? I want you to read that one more time.
So branding goes beyond a logo and aesthetics. It encompasses perceptions, experiences, and associations that people tie to your company.
So like we said, it's a lot bigger than just, it's a pretty logo, I like it, but is it effective? If any of you were starting a restaurant today, for example, I'm quite sure you wouldn't choose the McDonald's logo. It's hideous. It's a hideous logo. Like if I came, you said, Tony, I'm starting a restaurant, it's called McDonald's, I want you to design a logo. And I came with that McDonald's logo, you would say, Tony, you're fired. We don't want to do business with you anymore. Because, it's not aesthetically pleasing, let's be honest. It's red and yellow, but that logo is one of the most effective logos in the world. One of the most effective logos in the world. If your kids are driving by, if you can have a 2 or 3 year old, and they see that golden arch, we're in trouble, because we know we want them to eat healthy these days. Back in the day, when I was young, they'd feed us anything. But with, McDonald's is a super effective logo. Also Nike. How many people have a pair of Nikes? Raise your hand, please. All right. So everybody knows the brand Nike. It's the biggest sneaker brand in the world. Could you believe that Phil Knight, that was the owner of Nike, and by the way, the idea of Nike, that's the, Nike is Greek, and it stands for the God of victory. So that's where the word Nike comes from. But he had his logo designed by somebody in college for $33, $34. And he hated the logo. Could you believe he hated the Nike swoosh? Could you believe that? That's insane. He hated the Nike swoosh. That logo, let me tell you what makes this logo phenomenal, and then we'll get back on track. That logo looks good whether it's big, whether it's small. No matter what color it's in. Anybody can identify it. Your kid can identify it. So you're always going to hear me reference children, because when you design a logo, typically you want a child to, be able to say what that is. Of course, we have abstract logos and all kinds of logos like that. But typically, when you're designing a brand, you want it to be easily recognizable, because instead of saying the word or saying what it is, someone can glance at it and they can get it right off the bat. So let's go to the next slide. So we're talking about, you go back to customer discovery. So we're going to talk about customer discovery. All right. Who is your customer? Izzy, can you read that for us?
Yeah, many startups have a hypothesis of who their customers are when they launch. However, most of the time there's a discrepancy between what the business owners think they know and what the reality is when it comes to their customers. So how do we mitigate this? We do this by doing research, and it comes in many forms. We're going to be touching on surveys, interviews, market research, and competitive analysis.
That's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. But don't worry, you'll get a copy of the slide. Let's go to the next slide. So, Izzy, read the objective of what surveys, stand for and what interviews stand for. Just the definition of those two for me, if you don't mind.
Sure. The objective of surveys is to understand how your customers, prospects, stakeholders, and employees perceive your brand. And the objective of interviews is to identify your brand's positioning by gathering valuable information from your customers.
So before you even jump into designing a logo or hiring a designer or doing any of this, you kind of want to test your idea in the marketplace. You want to identify, who am I going after? Who is my main customer? So let's say you're a landscaper or you're a marketing company. So the options are broad. I'm a marketing company. Am I going after big corporations? Am I going after small and mid-sized businesses? Who is my target audience? What do they look like? Am I going for businesses or am I going for consumers? And if I'm going for consumers, you ask a few questions. Like if you look under surveys, it says, how old are you? Where do you live? How active are you? Do you have kids? If so, how old are they? Obviously, you guys know that one of the most targeted demographics are moms. They make all the buying decisions. How many ladies in here make most of the buying decisions in your household? Okay. So brands are always targeting the mom. They're always targeting the women. They always target the children, most likely. But these are some of the questions you want to ask in a survey. And then, Izzy, read off some of the questions that they would want to ask when interviewing.
Sure. So keep in mind, when it comes to interviews, you want to keep your questions more open-ended. What you're trying to get from speaking with people is more of a conversation than just like a number. For example, how old are you? That's what differentiates the surveys and the interviews. Interviews are more open-ended. So, for example, I would ask someone to walk me through their experience when they bought a product or service. For what occasion did they buy that product or service? What kind did they look for, and where did they go to look for them? And another great question to ask is, can you tell me about your experience the last time you purchased a product? That leaves the door wide open for them to really express anything on their heart or their mind.
Excellent. Any questions on that? So I want to, just interact with you, make sure that you're following along, because this is packed with a lot of information and I don't want to overwhelm you. I want to make this as light as possible because you're going to have it so you can refer to it. So any questions from anyone? And by the way, how many people started a business this year or last year or during the pandemic? Could you raise your hands? Would anybody like to share maybe, what your experience was starting off? I don't want to call anybody out, but you was like, yeah, me. Right? So.
Well, I'm a teacher, and I really enjoy coaching. Like, I don't want to get out of education, but I want to move out of the classroom.
Okay.
So my business has not started yet. I'm still working. I have an LLC, but I don't have. It's not making money.
That's okay. It's all right.
So I'm a science teacher, so I want to coach other science teachers who want to add to their classrooms and make it more interactive experience for their students rather than just like blah, this is science.
So you have a really big vision to change the way that information is delivered to people and students. You want to engage.
Yes.
Are you trying to leverage technology to engage? Like, is that your approach, kind of?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. And if you don't mind, what was your experience when it came to branding? Even if you didn't start branding yet, what was going through your mind when you when this vision came to your mind? Did a logo pop up? What happened for you? Where did you start? What happened? What did you do?
Well, I actually want something that's similar to the name of my company, which is Awkward Octopus Productions.
Oh, I love that. That's very catchy. That's very catchy.
Awkward
Um,
octopus.
yeah. The octopus, I'm a marine scientist in background,
Wow.
so the octopus is my favorite animal, so it's super personal.
I love it. It's a very, very catchy name. And I don't think you're going to have a problem with branding with that name. It's very, very creative, you know. Can I get someone else to also share maybe their experience of, you know, starting a business or even thinking about it? Anyone? Justin?
Yeah, I mean, so JeffWorks, obviously, this has been a journey.
Okay.
Before that, so my last business, I started an energy business, and it was called Upcurve. And we actually started with a logo. We were just kind of sketching on paper, like you talked about sitting around and drawing a logo. And we kind of drew this curve that kind of represented what we were trying to do in the energy business, but it also kind of looks, it just looks like something that would be catchy.
Of course.
So we sort of built a brand around that.
Did you hire a designer or did you just
We used Design 99, I think it's called.
99 designs?
99 Designs.
Yep.
You pay like, there's a couple $100, designers submit.
From all over the world.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool service.
It's a marketplace. Yeah, it's a pretty
Yeah.
cool marketplace.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of resources out there. I appreciate you sharing that story. I just want us all to get comfortable because I feel like he said, like, you know, Justin always says about me, you know, I operate with a purpose. I don't do anything without meaning behind it. And, you know, today my main objective is to have an impact on everyone and for us to impact each other, because one thing we could say about this year, there was no, for these last 2 years, there was no room for anything. We were all going through some crazy times, whether it's family, whether it's business, whether it's this. So, you know, when things like that happen, it creates an environment like JeffWorks, like right here, where we can get together and we can all share resources, share knowledge so we can propel forward. So I really appreciate when you guys share. Getting back on track. Now, next slide, please. Competitive analysis. So competitive analysis, we can't live long enough to know everything. There are people that left clues behind. So we don't have to start from ground zero. If you're thinking about starting an education business, for example, and what's your name, by the way? Regina, so nice to meet you. Thanks for sharing that. If you plan on starting an education platform like Miss Regina, there are companies in the past that have left clues for you, that have tried to push forward, or companies that have succeeded. And the first thing I do, I study companies like the back of my hand. I see their success, I see their failures, I pay attention to all of it. So you always want to do competitive analysis, and you want to think of who is your competitor if you're going into business, because then this will give you a blueprint. Everyone thinks Google is perfect. How many people use Google? Raise your hands. On a daily basis, right? We all use Google. To a naive eye, you look at Google and you're like, Google's perfect, Google's this, Google's that. Do you know how many businesses were created from the flaws of Google? Everyone knows this big flaw of Google. We might not think about it often, but local search is a big flaw of Google. So this is how Yelp came about. So they're looking at Google, we're looking at Google, we're searching everything. But why, when we put in pizza in Piscataway or South Plainfield, why are we getting New York locations? So we get New York locations. So this created a lane for online directories like yellowpage.com, Yelp.com. All of these businesses emerged because they're looking at what Google's doing. Who would have thought that Netflix would have challenged Blockbuster? Blockbuster had the opportunity to purchase Netflix several times. And now Blockbuster, they're no more. How many people grew up living room with your family, Christmas time, Kodak moment. Who raise your hand if you know about a Kodak moment? We all know about a Kodak moment, right? They didn't want to adapt. They didn't pay attention to the market. They didn't pay attention to. Now what do we have? We don't go out and buy cameras and films. We have smartphones, selfie, right? Yeah, exactly. So competitive analysis. Izzy, can you read off the two types of competitors for me?
Yeah, sure. So the first is indirect, where the businesses serve the same customer need but with different resources. For example, snack foods. We have several different snack foods: chips, pretzels, peanuts. It's essentially the same customer but totally different product. Then we have the direct competitors. So the territory, market, business, or industry in which business is directly competing with other businesses to serve the same customer using the same resources. For example, clusters of car dealerships and cell phone brands. If you're going for a car, typically you shop around, right? To several dealerships, and whatever gives you the best deal, looks the best for you, that's where you make your purchase.
Next slide for me. Then we have trends in market research. How many people, I want to know, how many of you thought that branding went this deep? Raise your hand. You knew branding went this deep? What's your experience with branding, if you don't mind sharing? What did you think before that? Before he shared that?
Before I thought it was as simple as you said before, like just the logo and stuff,
Oh yeah, man. Listen, I'm learning about branding. I'm always looking at the trends, and everything changes, and we have to be flexible. We need the wisdom to know when to be flexible and when to be stubborn in our vision. When do we bend? Like, you know what? I'm willing to change and bend a little. Or when do I have to stick my ground. I have to stand my ground. So, trends in marketing research. This is heavy stuff, but we have Google Trends, keyword planner, and Google Trends gives us insight into what a keyword search means. So, everyone knows what a keyword is. When you go onto Google, a keyword is what you type into Google. It can be a single word. It can be a phrase. So you can go to Google Trends and you can pretty much find out what the trends are. You can do social media analytics, and you can also we also market reports. I mean, you can hire different companies to get reports, but there are platforms out there and resources out there for you to pull those reports, so you have a good grip on the trends and what's going on in your industry or whatever industry you want to get into. Does that make sense? So we're going to keep going on because we're using these heavy words, data analysis. How many people are draining from hearing these words? Can you raise your hand? I'm drained. I just hear these big words and it's just like, but you know what? When it's your brand, we have an ego. It's like a vanity project for us. So we're into our stuff. So once you get into this, it will be fun because it's your brand, and we all know that we want to build your brand. Izzy, can you break down data analysis for everyone?
Sure. So we went over a lot of ways to capture data, like from surveys to interviews to market reports. So once we have all this data on our potential customers, how do we apply this to branding? So we have customer personas. What are they and why are they important? Customer personas are semi-fictional archetypes that represent the key traits of a large segment of your audience based on the data you've collected in these surveys, in these interviews, and all the research that you've done. They represent your ideal target customer for your company and what you're choosing to sell, whether it's a product or a service.
This is where it gets fun. This is one of my favorite parts of branding, I'm not going to lie, because we come up with marketing companies, we come up with some crazy concepts when it comes to personas. So let's look at Work in Wanda. Izzy, talk about some of the this Work in Wanda, this would be like you're profiling who your customer would potentially be, and you want to know their habits. You know, do they like to go out to the beach? So we're going to get to know Work in Wanda. So this would be the workshop, but like I said, I'm not going to make you split up into groups or anything. We're going to talk about Work in Wanda right now. Izzy, please.
Absolutely. So let's go into her personal background. She is 42 years old, married, has 3 children, and she lives on the beach in Charleston, South Carolina. Her lifestyle, you know, for her career, she's an interior designer. Her husband works long hours, and he's a real estate lawyer. Her family falls into the middle class category, and Wanda drives the kids to and from school. Her challenges and pain points. So she wants reasonably priced, quick, healthy food options for her kids. And she's also making sure she and her husband spend enough time with their kids. Her news outlet or her channels that she's on include social media, which Wanda heavily promotes her business there, and she reads the newspaper and various magazines.
Thank you, Izzy. Anybody got questions about Work in Wanda? Has any?
I'm working one.
Oh.
I just have 4 kids. Not 3, 4.
That was good. That was priceless. So we have a template in this presentation where you get to build these personas. Has anyone ever built a persona for their company, for branding? It is absolutely, it's really fun, it's interesting, especially when you delegate, you know, to other people in the team and they come up with these crazy names and crazy personalities, and I'm like, all right, but this is probably the target, you know, the customer we're going after. So you want to build a profile for who your customer is, because then you can figure out what channels you can use to market or to lead that person through your funnel, and where to find them at. You know, if it's someone, for example, Work in Wanda, 42 years old, I want to know, where could we find Work in Wanda? Where, do you think it makes sense to market to her through social media? Do you think it's better to mail her flyers? Can I get someone to volunteer Work in Wanda? Would you mind telling us how can we reach you, Work in Wanda?
Self-volunteer, right? Definitely social media, especially now.
Why is that?
Social media engagement has just skyrocketed high.
Okay.
And even those who don't usually spend a lot of time on social media are on social media now. And if that's one of her news outlets and that's where she gets the news, then that's one way. And another thing with that is we get data, which you discussed. We get data and analysis from social media, right? It tells you what someone's looking for, or
Absolutely.
categorizes the people who are looking for something and what they're looking for. So social media, I feel like, is almost better than newspaper or magazines, because that's kind of like a hit or miss with the newspapers and magazines. But social media, I mean, with the analytics and everything, I think that's like right on target.
I really admire how you have a grip on yourself and your world, and you know. So I want to ask you this. What companies do you see coming after you, marketing to you, and which ones are you like, no, you got to stop, and it's not effective, and which ones are you like, I love this, yeah, I want more, I'm subscribing? Do you engage with?
That's a good one. I'd like to say virtual assistants. Those have been coming up a lot, and I've been thinking a lot about those. There's a new one. If I remember it before we leave, I'll let you know. It's a new concept. It's an ad that keeps coming up, and I keep saving it. When you save, they collect your saves and they feed you, more information or more news based on your saves. So, virtual assistants.
I love VAs. VAs are awesome.
You probably have, it's trying to help you maximize your time, right? Because you got 4 kids and you don't have time.
How do you think they found you? Like, what clues were you leaving behind for them to start hitting you like that?
I probably was how to maximize your time, or maybe how to do something quickly, maybe quick steps, they kind of collect data.
Yeah,
On you
absolutely.
like that. So I'm thinking maybe that's what, I do watch productive things, I have reduced my time on Instagram, but when I do go, I do try to watch things I do watch a lot of mundane things too, but I do try to watch things, we get a lot of reels now, everything is in reels, and in 30 seconds, a lot of information can be passed out to you.
So videos are very effective when it
Videos, reels.
reels. Gotcha.
On Instagram, but videos are very effective. And if you can get the information out within like seconds, but that's what, to answer your question, the virtual assistants have been coming up at me, and I am looking into it.
And lastly, and I thank you for sharing all this information. What brands have come to you that you're like, no, go away, please stop?
Maybe,
Or they're all spot on right now? They know
No.
that you're trying to save time.
no, maybe clothing. Maybe I get a lot of clothing and I just kind of maybe skim through them.
Okay.
So I would say maybe clothing, like maybe style, because I do like a lot of clothing and stuff, but that's not the season I'm in. I'm like done buying clothes right now. I just
Gotcha.
wanna get through life.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. This is excellent. How many people benefited from everything she was saying? How many people can relate? Can you? Yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing that. We're gonna go next.
Question.
Sure.
For a business, it's not just one persona that we're looking for.
No,
right?
absolutely not.
So we have to have multiple personas.
Yes, we usually build, typically, in my experience, we build about 3 to 5 different personas. We're just using Working Wanda as one of the personas for
What is
example.
like the 80% of business, ideal business clients?
Absolutely, exactly, absolutely. So we're going to go to the next slide, and this is where we're sharing an example of what market research looks like, an example from data from surveys and also interviews. Izzy, if you don't mind sharing some of this information.
Absolutely. So Tony mentioned in the last slide we had a workshop, takeaway for you guys to take home and go through. These are, some data points that we fabricated, so they're not, actual data. But this is like an example of some kind of market research and data collected from surveys and interviews that you can pull from and then take and create a customer persona.
So we're going to get into how to create a customer persona, like Working Wanda. Let's go to the next slide.
Yeah.
So demographic data, we're talking about age, gender, estimated income bracket, geography, family size, and then psychographic information. We're talking goals, challenges, personalities, types, motivations. These are things that you want to consider when building a persona. We're talking about job title, role level, and then we're talking also personal taste and interests. This really gets interesting. By the way, guys, there's not research for all of this. We have to make some safe assumptions. We have to use our gut when it comes to branding. It's not all data driven. We can observe, we can pick up on patterns, we can pick up on trends, and sometimes we have to use our gut, and we gather as much information as we can, and then we fill in some of the blanks, and you have fun with it. You want to have fun with building these personas. Also, bonus info, a photo to represent your target, user, a user or customer, a fictional one-paragraph bio that tells, so you can tell a story. When it comes to branding and it comes to building a persona, you have to incorporate your imagination. So, we're gonna think of yourself as creating a movie or this is what this person does. I'm gonna go a little above and beyond. They like hanging out on the weekends. They go and they smoke cigars with friends. They do this, they do that. So everything is not data driven. Also use your imagination. You go to the next slide. Is everyone following along so far? How are you digesting the information? Is it too heavy? Everything good? Okay. All right. We're on the same page. So, communication pillars. Izzy, can you talk about that, please?
Sure, so what are they and why are they important? So the communication pillars are the touch points of your business. They're a combination of your brand's personality and values that make the brand the way it is. So they allow your messaging to stay consistent, focused, and on brand. How do you identify this? So it is it is a deep process. You take a look at your company/brand's purpose, personality, positioning, perception, and promotion, what you're trying to promote as a company. After looking at all of this and applying it to your own brand, you can narrow it down and find the essence that you're trying to communicate to your customer. So examples of, all these things boiled down is we specialize in, or we want to focus on providing expertise to our customer. We want to focus on innovation as a company, service, passion, inclusivity, quality, trust, originality, accessibility. There are hundreds more, And typically, a company/brand will stick to 4. 4 is like a safe middle ground.
So, I want to go to the next slide. We're going to talk about an empathy map. So this is an example of an empathy map, and I'm sorry I can't see all the way over here, but I have the same thing here. So, what does the person think and feel? So you want to draw this map. Again, you're going to have this included when we send the slide, when we share it. What does the person hear? What does the person say and do? What does the person see? So that's an empathy map. And then on the other side, we have an example of a customer journey. So obviously, we have to see things multiple times before we take action. And that's why you look at a billion-dollar company like Coke or Pepsi. Everybody knows Coke and Pepsi. Let's be honest, they never have to advertise a day in their business life. They don't have to. We all know what they are. However, you look at Coke and Pepsi, they leave no rock unturned. You see them on TV, you see them getting Beyonce, you see this. But you also, when you're going into the pizzeria, you see them, right, a sticker right at the bottom of the door.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me when we deal with, new businesses or other companies, they kind of, look down on, talk down on that. We're like, we don't need advertising, referral. If Pepsi and Coke are still advertising and putting stickers on doors, then we all need advertising. Can we agree to that?
Yes, agreed.
So, like I said, there's a journey that a customer goes through. Every journey is unique to every business. But as you can see, Izzy, if you can walk them through some of the channels and explain, the awareness, the consideration, the purchase, service, and the loyalty expansion. For instance, you have radio, TV, outdoor, you have word of mouth. So this may be your first interaction with a brand. This may be a part of your journey. But you're not going to make a purchase into maybe you go to their website, or maybe you speak to a salesperson. Maybe that's, where you make the purchase along this journey. And then after that comes, the service you receive, obviously, and then them retaining you. So this is something that you can also refer to. And like I said, these things are a little bit more complex, but I want you to do your research. Once you have this slide, dig deep, get excited about it, especially if it's your own brand. We all know that we put our love, we put our energy, we put our money, we put everything into our brand. So, really take the time to do this. And with Miss Regina, the thing I admire about you is that you said, yeah, I started the LLC, but you didn't start doing other things yet. You're taking your time with your brand. And of course, we all have a sense of urgency. We all want to make a lot of money, right? But at the end of the day, we want to put that love into our brand. It's our baby, it's our child. So taking time out to do additional things like the customer journey and the empathy map, these things are going to help. Next slide. So the value proposition. this is just an example of what it is, making the correlation between what we're offering and what the client is receiving. So we have the gain creators, our products, our services, our pain relievers, and then, you know, obviously we're matching that to their pains and, oh, jobs to be done and their gains. You can go to the next slide. Now this is where it gets interesting. This is where it gets interesting. Bridging data with branding. Bear with me on this. So this is also a fun thing, creating a mood board. Izzy, can you talk about the mood board?
Sure. So a branding mood board is a collection of visual assets. It can be colors, images, text, photos, or any kind of visual inspiration that you choose. So it encompasses who you are as a brand and what kind of brand message you want to put out into the world.
So if we go to the next, first of all, go back one more time. I want you guys to take a picture at the mood board. Can anyone tell me what they see? Salud. What are you getting from this mood board? Anyone? I don't know if you can see. Can you guys see over there? Or is it kind of tight? Somewhat. Izzy, can you share a little bit about this mood board?
Sure. So we have the great Muhammad Ali standing above his opponent in the lower right-hand corner. We have Tokyo Olympics of 1964, and a lot of there's a logo or a icon of movement. So from my takeaway from this is sports, athleticism. This is what I get from the mood board.
Let's make it a little bit more simple, right? So when we see a commercial, a Nike commercial, and someone's running and they're working their heart, and we see how disciplined they are and sweat's dripping off them, and you see that Nike, like, what does that make you? Doesn't that make you feel something? We all feel something, right? Or like we just get inspired, and you know, like for me, I don't know if you guys know, but I was about 65 pounds heavier, believe it or not. You know, and commercials like that inspired me to lose weight. It inspired me to work out. It inspired me to whip myself up. So, and it also inspires you to go and buy that, because I believe that Nike sneaker is gonna help whip me up into shape. So there's an emotional connection. There's an emotional connection that you want to convey. So this is the purpose of doing a mood board. You want to do this with your brand. What do you want your customers to feel? What do you want your clients to feel? Next. Now we get to the logos. Now we get to the color palette, the fonts, and the aesthetics. And this is really fun. So after all that hard work, you know, building customer personas, doing market research, data analysis, all this stuff, now we get to design our logo. How's everybody feeling at this point? You happy we get to draw our logo? I want my box of crayons. So that's how, I mean, we really want to, that's the part we're really going to enjoy. So your company's brand identity includes visible elements that distinguish your brand from others, such as your brand logo design, your brand fonts, and your brand colors. And your brand colors have the power to portray emotions. Yellow makes you hungry. That's why you see it in a lot of restaurants. Black represents sophistication. And then when you combine different colors together, they have different meanings. So you also, you know, they have this online. You can Google it, and it'll show you like a spectrum of what. Could you believe if your yellow is too bright, it can be depressing? Like if the walls in here were too yellow, it can actually make you feel depressed. Do you know, like, and then it's different in real life than what it is on the internet. So the strongest marketing color on the internet historically has been red. Red makes people take action. But when you see the color orange, it stimulates mental activity. So orange gets your imagination going. So these are some things that you want to consider when you're, you know, designing your logo and having fun with the Crayola pack. So let's go next. So tone of voice, tagline, copywriting. Izzy, hit those 3 points for me, please.
Absolutely. So a brand's tone of voice defines the way in which the company communicates, both internally and externally. So when you establish a tone of voice, you're establishing the formality of your text, spelling conventions, and the writing style.
And number 2?
Taglines. So taglines embody the personality of a brand, so your brand can pique interest of customers. Your tagline should be unique. It should be memorable, and easy to say, and therefore making your brand stand out. Taglines are meant to address the pain point of your client. For example, just do it, as Nike says. Lastly, we have copywriting, and copywriting is the key to creating a customer's experience, as modern audiences can often see straight through empty promotional messaging. Whether your brand makes emotional appeals or intellectual appeals that capture audiences, that will all depend on its copywriting.
So here the next thing, we have the template that we actually created. We made it very, very simple. You know, we don't want to overwhelm. We want you to have fun with creating your brand. And I always tell people, and this is a little off topic because I'm a little philosophical and stuff like that, you know. So, but I always tell people, don't become a prisoner of what you love. You started out loving something, and now it's like, I hate this. And now I'm stuck in it. You don't want to be that person. So you always want to keep your business fun. You always want to be engaged, and you know, you want to have fun doing this. Easy way to stay engaged and to keep yourself having fun with your business and not feeling depressed or feeling like, damn, I'm a prisoner. I started this, you know, business and now I can't even, you know. You want to surround yourself with people that inspire you. You constantly want to inspire yourself and get in a great headspace when you're building your brand. You want to be in a clear headspace, whether you go to a cafe. I'm a big cafe guy. I love cafes, drinking tea, being cool, crossing legs, all that stuff. And so that's where I go, and I'm just chill, and you know, this is where I get creative. So whatever your creative space is, whether you have it at home, you know, you want to do this there. It's important. And then you also want to build a team of supportive people to help you when it comes to your brand. You want to bounce ideas off your closest friends, people that you trust, people that you know are going to be honest, whether you like it or not. You want to, you know, network, and thank Justin for this opportunity to come together. And we all have enough space because I know it's still the pandemic, and you know, but it feels good to get out and to learn and to. I really appreciate you guys coming out. This social experience for me and me getting to blab my mouth and whatever, you know, this is great. And so build a team around you, and that team can be a combination of family members, friends, some new business people. We have a whole bunch of stuff going on when it comes to these Zoom meetings and meetups and all that stuff. So you have to put the energy behind your brand, and you have to make it real. And the only way you're going to make it real is by putting energy. So when you do this activity, I want you to get some of the people that love you and care about you to interact with it, so you can start giving your brand life. Because you have to breathe life into the brand, and that's something that comes from inside you. We don't have a, you know, template for that or a guideline for that. That's something that has to come from in you. So that's my philosophy.
Yeah. If I could step in and just give an example. So we spoke about Wanda. So under customer persona, we would put Wanda's name. Communication pillar. You know, I have some listed as inclusivity, sustainability, quality, convenience. So we choose for Wanda, who's a mom, we choose the communication pillar of convenience. Her channel, that's the way that you're going to communicate or reach her. So as Wanda mentioned, social media would work best, right? We'll use Instagram. Then you look at your concept or your campaign that you're trying to promote. So we're trying to promote, for example, a healthy option for a snack craving. Just an example, you know, everyone has their own promotions. Then we look at the message, which is the final thing that Wanda will see. So what kind of message can we come up with to engage her?
Wanda's across from you, so you can ask her. I'm teasing you.
I know.
I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you so much. I really do.
We're good.
I appreciate you. So, guys, believe it or not, that's the end of the presentation. We want to thank you for your time. We want to thank you for coming out during the pandemic, during, the weather. We have some people that feel a little sensitive about the weather. It's a little rain. They're like, I'm not coming out. And, but you guys made it here, and we appreciate it so, so much. We really enjoyed your time. And I want to know if you have any questions for me. Any questions you want to ask? I put a lot of people on the spot. Put me on the spot. Ask me what you like. Sure.
So, as a tattoo artist, if I wanted to start my own business, the part of the branding, like I have a specific audience that I want to reach out to. Like I want everyone to know, like everyone gets tattoos, all different types of people. So it's like I'm not sure how I can target all of those people. You feel
That's easy. Just hire us. Izzy, go to the next slide. There's our emails right there. No, I'm just playing. So here, that's a great question. So let everyone ask this question. I want everyone to come. But as we know, there are levels to everything, right? And I know your art means a lot to you. I'm quite sure there are tattoo artists that are charging $300, and I could go to someone else for the same tattoo, and you're charging me $10,000. Why is that? So see, these are questions. These are thought-provoking questions that you have to ask. And this is called positioning. So we didn't really discuss this. This has to do more with your company. Walmart, we look at Walmart, they position themselves a certain way. They want to be affordable. Everyone saves money. We sell everything. We do everything. That's how they position themselves. But then you look at another company, let's say you look at Lord & Taylor. Aha. You look at Lord & Taylor, right? In one of my favorite places, by the way. Lord & Taylor, they position themselves to sell luxury brands. So their messaging is going to be different. And even though they want everybody, believe me, they do. We all want everybody. But they are targeting people and they're attracting people that are actively looking to buy luxury. So you want people that, are, maybe you say, I'm a celebrity tattoo artist, right? So now you're targeting celebrities, high profile people. You're not just targeting, anyone can come into you, but maybe everyone can't afford you, right? But you're targeting celebrities, for example. So that's the best way for me to answer your question. I would build the personas. The personas, that's a great place to start. So build 5 people who are your ideal customers that you're dealing with most of the time. Anybody can come in, but you're dealing with these people the most. LeBron James, who else you want to do a tattoo for? Rihanna. You want Riri. So you want to do a tattoo for Riri. What are we going to do to get Riri to come into your shop, or for her to fly you out to, is she from Barbados? For her to fly you out to Barbados. So, there you go.
What about, so Tony, how do you think about purpose? You talk about purpose like in the individual level, right? In our careers, in our lives, whatever. From a brand perspective, a business perspective, how important is it for a brand to have a purpose associated with it? Like, as an example, we started JeffWorks, we thought of it as, okay, the purpose is to create this low-cost, high quality space that people can use as a third place. So if they're working from home and they need an escape, whatever. So we thought about it as this is the purpose of the business, and then kind of built from there. How important do you think it is for a brand to have its own kind of purpose?
Oh man, I could go on for days about this. Like this is where my heart's at. And when I speak, I'm telling you, we have a process in our company, and it's called a vision assessment. And when I sit down with potential clients, the first meeting, I don't talk about money. I'm not proposing anything to them. I spend hours getting to know them, getting to know what their vision is, in all different levels. We typically target mid-sized corporations, but all different levels. And I mean, when I say I go deep, I go deep. So I like using the pizza example. You guys grab some pizza. If you have a pizzeria you started, for example, I want to know, where did you get? Oh, my grandfather. He's the one. He had a special recipe. He used to make it for me when I was, and that was a moment. Me and my grandfather sitting around, and I go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper until they start to cry about that. All those things need to be incorporated into your brand. They all need to be incorporated into your brand, one way or another. You can do it in a subliminal way. You can do it in a direct way. But when you talk about purpose and brands, you're talking about really the stories, the story that the brand is telling, not just to customers, but also internally to the employees and to the staff. When it comes to building this grand vision. Maybe you like working for a company because, they donate X amount of dollars back to this or to that. Maybe you like working with a company because they're sustainable or for whatever they stand for. Or like Omega, the watches, they represent the Olympics. They do all the James Bond movies, So it really boils down to your story and the culture that you're trying to create. And the way I feel about purpose is that it needs to be a part of your brand for sure. It needs to be incorporated into the brand. Absolutely, 1,000%. Yeah. Any other questions? By the way, I made a disclosure. Oh, there you go. Whew. So marketing and digital marketing will fall under marketing. But when you specify digital, when you say digital, we're talking about anything electronic. So delivering messages in a unique way electronically. So through email, through text, that's really the definition. And believe it or not, I started out in print advertising, and I remember digital was coming in, taking print away. So I was selling the Yellow Book. This is where my marketing experience started. I was selling ads in the Yellow Book, and quarter-page ads, and then all of a sudden it's like, mobile phones, this, that. It all started coming, and we seen the Yellow Book shrink, getting smaller, smaller. And now when you're going through people's houses, you see the Yellow Book leveling off a table. Use it to level things off. But believe it or not, the Yellow Book was Google back then. And everybody was calling. If you wanted to be found, Yellow Book was it. Yellow Book was it was that back then. But watching the transition between print advertising and digital marketing, it was insane. It was a crazy transition. Any other questions? Guys, don't hold back. Anything.
If you can discuss this really quick, this is something I'm having a hard time with now because I'm like in planning stages, brainstorming stages, just with everything. I'm like in building stages.
Okay.
It's hard to find a team. So can you? And when I say a team, I mean when you have a brand, and you talked about getting around maybe like-minded people and getting around family of people who support you. But there are some people. I mean, I have a supportive spouse who's very, intellectual with marketing.
Of course.
But he's busy with his own business. Like he's like building his own brand.
Absolutely.
But I don't have family members that maybe are into maybe brand building or can give constructive criticism or constructive feedback. So, I mean, how do you go about maybe?
Now, when you say team, we're speaking in the terms of a support system or terms of a team that helps you build your company, or both?
I believe that, for example, top floor marketing is key. Like you guys would help with maybe putting in marketing
Everything.
package together. However, for me, I know that I have a podcast
Oh, very nice.
I have a podcast brewing. I also have. I'm trying to put it together, but it would be like not life services. Now I'm choking on my own, but it would be services for moms.
Oh,
I'm
that's
trying to put
amazing.
something like that together. But I need pictures. I need like a team of photographers. I need videos. I have like all these ideas because the world is going digital, video, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm trying to build all of those things, but you can have marketing, but I first have to shoot the video.
Like, where do you start?
It's overwhelming for you?
Very.
So, you know, it depends on where you are in life. Like, I don't know your schedule. Like,
I am
you're super busy.
super busy.
Super busy.
So this is like, my head is just coming above water. My youngest is 6 months, just started daycare, so.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to get above water and start to put my foot forward into more.
I would
wanna
say,
stick around.
I would say, see, and this goes back to a lot of, it's always personal, you know, because it's really like you have to create the time first, and you have to schedule time for that and prioritize that, and then you also have to start the education process, and this is where we all get discouraged, is we start something, we get super excited, we're super stoked for it, and then suddenly this stage of boredom comes, and it's like, yeah, I'm excited, I love my business, but you know, like Married at First Sight is on, you know, Netflix, you know, whatever, like I'm just gonna scarf some of that pizza down, you know, bust out some Shark Tank, whatever, right? A lot of us, we don't survive that boredom stage. That boredom stage, that's where a lot of people, that's a tough stage. You know, even with, you know, when it comes to getting funding or financing, we fight through that more than we do boredom. Boredom is a dream killer. You have to really survive boredom. So I'm going to use, how many people went to college? Okay, a lot of people went to college. How many people went through training in a company before? Okay, so when we go to college and we go through training in a company, we go through all these different things. We go through those same stages of boredom, but somehow we got through it, whatever the case, right? And then we're like, all right, now I start my new career. I'm going through this, I'm going through that. But then one day something happens, something really amazing happens, and it's like, oh my God, all this knowledge that I learned over the last 7 years just came together. And now I feel super powerful. How many people here have experienced that, have experienced when the light bulb turns on after all those years of education and work and boredom and everything, and all of a sudden everything clicks? And it feels so gratifying. So these are the things you got to keep in mind when you're building a brand. You know, it's vicious. It's a vicious cycle, and this is why you need to continue to attend events like this. You need to connect with like-minded people so we can have these open discussions. We need this. Even I need this. I don't know everything. I'm looking for answers just like you are. I'm trying to find my path just like you are, making new connections just like you are. I got to keep myself active and motivated. So the first thing for you will be to find time.
So I have
And-
the time now. I just found the time now. So you're saying, so in essence, there's that boredom season, and it will pass if you can last through it.
If you could last through it, you got to fight through it. And we have to inspire ourselves. So this is why y'all came out tonight.
That's why I'm here.
This is why you came out tonight, right? Something was, you have some monotony in your life. Something is, I got to get out the house. You know, I have to get out. All right, this Jeff Works thing, free pizza, I'm there. Like, but it really feels good. So you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to get out your comfort zone. You have to make yourself do things we don't want to do, and we have to fight through the boredom. And in order for us to get to what we really, really want. And you also have to build your desire. A lot of people, you think that when it comes to building a brand or when it comes to building a business, I'm excited about it today, but you know what? I had a tough day today. I'm not so excited about it right now. I still love it, but, and you're justified. You have to remember that you have to feed that fire. That doesn't stop. Feeding your fire doesn't stop. You have to inspire yourself. Whether that means going on a vacation, whether that means meeting new people, whether it means going to a cafe and downing like 3 espressos, me and Justin, you know what I'm saying? He had 3 espressos, right? So whatever it takes, you got to feed the fire. It's not like, I love this. It's no different than a marriage. If you've been married before, you got sparks the first 2 years, and then everything normalizes, and then somebody got to bring that spark back. Somebody got to flame. We got to help each other here. Like, yeah, you got to feed the fire, and it's the same thing with your business. So that's where I would start. I would start feeding your fire. So getting inspired and writing down your purpose, journaling, and getting that fire built, because when that fire is built, this is what happens when that fire is built. You're not going to need anyone to guide you. You'll be guided. I want everyone to think about this. There's nothing in life that you ever truly wanted. I'm talking about really wanted that you haven't got. Everyone really goes out and I have family members who don't, they're completely broke, they have no money, but they're going to find a way to get their hair done that month. Every time. I'm like, yo, you was just broke. You spent $1,200 on your hair? Like, how the hell did you do it? You know why? Because they really, really wanted it. So, yeah. So I want to thank you guys. I'm hungry and I'm tired and I'm like a baby right now.
You set the bar really high, so we want to have these events. Ideally, we're going to do this like every month going forward. And
Sure.
We're at the top of this.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you.
We want to feature members. And so, like, if we have members who have business ideas that they want to present on, but also get feedback from the community, get ideas, then we see this as kind of a two-way street. So we're excited to have more of these going forward. I want to thank you guys for that. Tony,
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. I survived.
So, and then the shameless plug, so if you haven't had a chance to download the app yet, please do. And let everyone know right now is your initiation.
Oh, by the way, guys, if you want a copy of this presentation,
Yes.
and by the way, we want your email so we can mark it. No, I'm just playing. But send it to, it is true. Send it to Izzy. Email Izzy if you don't mind, and she'll send you a copy of the presentation. And it's nice to meet you all. Happy New Year. Can't wait to see you. Yeah, definitely. Thank you.